Well, thank you so much for joining us today for the Return to Learn Town Hall meeting. It's our intentions today to tell you about the Phase 4 plan, because that is what we believe we will be going back to school in, is indeed in the Phase 4 plan. We've presented this numerous times to the school board. We've also presented it in a separate town hall meeting. Today, we're not going to focus so much on instructional needs. Instead, we're going to focus more on some of the equitable access and some things that have to do with your job as well. So before we begin, let's go ahead and talk about some norms. We're going to review the plan, and then we're going to give some time for questions. We'd hope that you'd wait until the end of the presentation so we can collect those particular questions. Please understand that we're not going to be able to answer all of the questions because some of the answers will come specifically from your particular building. If you could, let's presume some positive intentions out there and know that the entire nation is growing their understanding about back to school plans, and therefore things might change based on whatever's happening with our legislation. And we're excited for the new year, and we can't wait to educate kids. At Hamtramck Public Schools, we're very proud of our vibrant academic past and are being thoughtful about the 2021 school year. I want to thank members of the Budget and Restart Task Force who participated weekly in developing a back-to-school preparedness plan. We had over 45 members. They worked together as a team to build the plan, laying out how we will educate our students while keeping everyone safe. We were always guided by the facts regarding our guidance documents. We reviewed research. We leaned on safety experts as well. It was a difficult task, but together we moved forward and devised a plan based on Governor Whitmer's return to school roadmap. And I'm really proud to announce that as we move into the new school year, we will continue to challenge our students academically and help support them with their social emotional needs. This team was formed as a direct response to the pandemic to ensure equitable access to all facets of the Hamtramck educational experience. We used a company, or worked with a company called 360. So as part of the Budget and Restart Task Force, we worked on building that, of course, Phase 4 plan. And the district hired a team of safety specialists, and their name was 360, to map out each building. They're also holding strategy meetings at each school with our principals, and they're creating tailored programs of implementation for every single school, because we know every school is not the same in Hamtramck. Also, as school starts and we're starting to implement our COVID-19 return to school plan, 360 is indeed going to be in our buildings observing us implementing the plans. They'll be monitoring us, and they'll also be coaching our teams. And what you see here on the screen is an example classroom layout. You'll also notice that they sent us documentation on every single building, because they took measurements of every classroom. They took measurements of every gymnasium, library, front office. So they took measurements of each of those, and then they posted signs as to what the capacity would be in that particular room. Again, we had safety on our minds. So in Phase 4, schools are open for in-person instruction with more stringent required safety protocols. At Hamtramck Public Schools, this means that we are going to be implementing a fully virtual program for students, and we're also going to add in learning labs for our most at-risk learners. I think it's really important to note that we're not going to forget about that social emotional well-being. So the following measures are going to be part of our fall instructional plans. Screening tools to identify students that might need additional support. Training for staff in the fall on those screening tools in signs of crisis. We're also going to have social emotional focused lessons embedded within the regular school day. We're also going to ask for mentors for students who need additional support. And we're going to be sharing the mental health support lines. and give access to social workers and school counselors for our parents and also our students, of course. Parent liaisons and school and community facilitators will be there to connect parents to resources. And then we do have the breakfast and lunch programs. They are going to be available for pickup, but we're adding some weekend days during the 2021 school year. And we thought that this was extremely important, that the online program be backed by our incredible staff. And we're going to ensure that each student has a device as needed, and also that they're receiving feedback from their teacher in a two-way communication type of system. We're also going to be issuing report cards and progress reports. Teachers will have access to the Seesaw platform in K through 2, and then our instructional organizational system in 3 through 12 will be Google Classroom. We are going to have live synchronous instruction with students. This is the key to a high quality online program. We will have a schedule of events and a structured school day. And then again, as I had mentioned before, students will be receiving report cards, grades. There will be a two-way communication log, and they will be receiving progress reports as well. So we are going to have a multi-tiered system of supports, and it will be housed in a virtual setting, and this will be for all. So we will have English language support, core academic intervention support, social emotional interventions, and then of course, supplemental services for students with special needs. And this could possibly be wraparound services for students who need that social emotional support, as we had talked about, but it could also be as simple as a child is struggling with the two-way communication protocols, and he or she might need a multi-tiered system of support in order to get them on track. It could also be teaching them some of the technology tools that they have so that they can be successful, whatever it takes. So personal protection equipment will continue to be required in all common areas, including hallways, and bathrooms. PPE will not be asked in self-contained classrooms. And then we are asking that visitors be limited to 1 per student. And parents and guardians are going to be asked to monitor their children for symptoms of COVID-19 and to keep students home if they exhibit any symptoms, and keep them home until they are free of symptoms per the CDC guidelines. Staff should also be monitoring themselves for symptoms and stay at home if they're exhibiting symptoms of COVID-19. Parents and guardians entering the building will be asked to sanitize their hands upon entry, and then they will be logging their visit. As I had mentioned before, parents, guardians, and visitors will be limited to 1 per student as much as possible. So we had talked a little bit before about learning labs, and we are going to be hosting learning labs. They're going to begin in the fall, and they will be used as a way to provide supplemental in-person instruction for students that are most at risk. And so let me define that for you. It's students with IEPs, students that perhaps have 504s that need direct service, and then perhaps EL1, and then also newcomer students as well. Invitations are going to be sent to those particular students, and if they feel comfortable attending, we will be providing an in-person schedule for those particular students. So Learning Lab invitations are going to go out, and we are going to make sure that we've thought about spacing, movement, parameters, protocols for PPE, and then also hygiene and cleaning, which is also outlined in our preparedness plan. In the event that high stakes mandate testing is required for in-person, all students will be required to come into the buildings and test in person. We are considering, of course, doing small groups if that does become something that the state wants us to do. All right, well, thank you so much for sharing your gifts and talents each and every day with Hamtramck Public Schools. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all that you do.